nearly shine, it embraced the earth, turning the river waters into moving glass and making the giant mahogany trees sweat with dew. In this town of vibrant greens and deep ochres lived Eva. To look at Eva was to see nature's apology for the harshness of life. Her skin possessed the luminosity of polished copper, and her walk was a rhythm that the young men of the village tried, and failed, to match. But beauty, as the elders often mumbled over their evening palm wine, is a mask that often slips. Eva carried a burden, though she did not see it as such. To her, a secret was a physical weight, a hot coal pressed into the palm of her hand. To hold it was agony, to drop it was relief. The moment a rumor touched her ears, her heart would race, her palms would itch, and a feverish need to speak would overtake her. She was not malicious, or so she told herself, she was simply communicative. The air near the riverbank was thick with the scent of wet earth and jasmine. Eva had come to fetch water, but the hushed tones of urgent whispers froze her in place. She crouched behind a fern, her breath hitched. Through the leaves, she saw them, the chief's son, his brow furrowed in distress, and a woman who was definitely not his wife. "We cannot keep this hidden forever," the woman wept, her hand resting on her stomach. "The child." "Hush," the chief's son hissed. "The town must never know." Eva didn't need to hear another word. The clay pot she carried was forgotten. She moved with the stealth of a leopard and the speed of a gazelle, racing back to the town square. By the time the roosters crowed the next dawn, the secret had been chewed up and spat out into every ear in Enwo. The market square exploded into chaos. The chief's son's wife, a woman of formidable temper, dragged the mistress through the dust. Eva stood on the periphery, a small, satisfied smile playing on her lips as she watched the drama she had orchestrated. "Eva," a gravelly voice grumbled "Eva," a gravelly voice grumbled beside her. It was Elder Kofi, leaning heavily on his staff. "The mouth that eats salt must not spit poison. Learn to mind your business." Eva tossed her braids, the beads clicking dismissively. "I only speak the truth, Papa. Is truth a crime now?" She turned away, unaware that the wind was shifting, and a storm was gathering specifically for her. Sunday market was the heartbeat of Enwo. The noise was a wall of sound, haggling voices, bleating goats, and the rhythmic thud of pestles. Eva sat on a wooden stool, her eyes darting like a hawk's, scanning for the next delicious morsel of gossip. "Madam, please." The voice was faint, melodic yet weary. Eva looked up to find a stranger. The woman was older, perhaps in her 40s, with a face that held a timeless, melancholic beauty. She wore a faded brown top and a red wrapper that had seen better days. On her head balanced a heavy brass pan overflowing with corn. "Help me down, please," the woman asked. For a moment, Eva's vanity paused. She stood, smoothing her dress, and reached up to grasp the heavy pan. "Careful now," Eva said. As the woman lifted her arms to surrender the weight, the loose sleeves of her old top slid down to her shoulders. Eva froze. Her eyes widened, bulging in their sockets. There, in the dark hollow of the woman's armpit, skin did not meet skin. Instead, gnarled, woody branches sprouted from the flesh, covered in vibrant green leaves. It was unnatural. It was terrifying. It was the best gossip Eva had ever seen. She dropped the pan. Corn spilled everywhere, a golden flood in the dust. Eva screamed, pointing a trembling finger. Look at this. Are you a tree or a woman? Everyone, come see." Trees growing in her armpit. The market fell into a deathly silence. The crowd surged forward, eyes wide. The strange woman did not cover herself. She slowly lowered her arms. Her eyes locked onto Eva's dark, abyssal pools that held no anger. Only a terrifying, ancient sorrow. She said nothing. She turned, the crowd parting like the Red Sea, and walked away. In seconds, she vanished, as if the heat haze had swallowed her whole. "Eva," a neighbor whispered, her face pale. "You should have kept quiet." Eva laughed, high and shrill. "Me? Quiet? Did you see that? Someone hand me a razor blade, I'll shave the forest for her." Night fell, and Eva slept the deep sleep of the self-righteous. But dawn brought a different reality. She woke to a sensation of burning. It felt as though her lips had been kissed by fire ants. Groaning, she reached for the hand mirror by her bed. The scream that tore from her throat woke the birds in the trees. Her lips were swollen, unrecognizable. But the horror was in the details. Pushing through the tender skin of her mouth were tiny, vibrant green leaves. She clawed at them, tears streaming down her face, but they were rooted deep. Tugging only brought blood and blinding pain. She tried to call for her mother, but her voice was a muffled croak. The leaves filled her mouth. When she stumbled out of her hut, panic in her eyes, the town of Enwo recoiled. The beauty was gone, replaced by a botanical nightmare. The gods, the villagers whispered, backing away. She spoke of the spirit, and now the spirit speaks through her. Eva fled back inside, slamming the door. The silence she had always hated was now her only companion. 3 days passed. Eva withered like a flower in a drought. Her mother, heartbroken, wrapped Eva's head in a thick scarf and led her under the cover of darkness to the neighboring village. The herbalist's hut smelled of dried sage and burnt feathers. The old woman listened to the mother's weeping explanation, her eyes fixed on the covered face of the girl. "It is not a sickness of the body," the herbalist said, her voice dry as parchment. "It is a sickness of the soul." She leaned forward. "There is a massive tree by the river in your town, the one whose roots drink the deepest. You must go there." The prescription was strange and specific. 4 eggs. Your finest wrapper, the one you are most vain about. A calabash of white wine. Go alone. Plead with the spirit you mocked. Then, bathe in the river and wash the pride from your skin. The moon was a sliver of silver when Eva entered the bush. The forest, usually welcoming, now felt menacing. Shadows stretched like long fingers. She reached the ancient tree. Its trunk was so wide 10 men could not circle it. Trembling, Eva laid out her offerings. She placed the eggs gently. She uncorked the wine. She unfolded her favorite cloth, blue silk that shimmered in the moonlight, and laid it on the damp roots. She fell to her knees. She could not speak clearly through the leaves, so she screamed with her heart. "I am sorry. I am foolish. I am empty. Please." Tears, hot and fast, watered the ground. She stayed there for hours, until her knees were numb and her ego was dust. Finally, she crawled to the riverbank. The water was icy, shocking her system. She scrubbed her skin, shivering, washing away the old Eva. That night, the fever broke. Eva drifted into a dream that felt more real than the waking world. The woman from the market stood before her. She was no longer wearing rags. She was draped in light, terrifying and magnificent. "My child," the spirit said, her voice the sound of wind through tall grass. "You used your voice to tear others down. Now you know the pain of being the spectacle." The spirit touched Eva's forehead. "I forgive you. But remember, the forest has eyes, and the wind has ears. Do not make me teach you this lesson twice." Eva woke with a gasp. The hut was filled with morning light. Instinctively, her hand flew to her mouth. Smooth skin. Soft lips. She ran to the mirror. The leaves were gone. The swelling had vanished. She fell to the floor and wept, not out of fear, but out of gratitude. Eva returned to the world. Roots drink the deepest, but she was different. The beauty was still there, but the sharpness was gone. When gossip circulated in the market, Eva would simply smile and continue her work. She had learned that a loose tongue could start a fire, but a guarded mouth brought peace. And in the town of Enwo, that was the most beautiful trait of all.